The star of The Acolyte, Amandla Stenberg, just dropped a diss track to all of the haters, and Leslye Headland describes The Acolyte as the most important art that she has ever created. Let's talk about that on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place, and here with me is watcher of The Acolyte, Mr. VashSky. Vash, are you doing okay, man?
It's been a tough couple of weeks, Jonas. It really has.
Oh, it's not that bad. It's just kind of boring, right? I don't know. We haven't been giving this very good reviews on the channel. It's understandable, but people are engaged for now in wanting to know what's going on in The Acolyte. It sounds like a lot of our audience is not going to watch The Acolyte, but they would rather watch the reviews of The Acolyte. It remains to be seen how the ratings really shake out here. We're waiting on some more concrete metrics. It sounds like this show is, it might be more popular in social media discourse than it is in viewership. We'll see. I will make one prediction. I think it might drop up here at episode 4 as people no longer know what's in it. But as we like to do on the channel, we like to keep up with what's going on in the world of Disney. Now, sometimes when people do shows like this, they'll get the stars out there, they'll get the cast and the crew out, and they will do press junkets in order to promote the show. The press tour, Vash, do you want to tell people how the press tour went for The Acolyte so far?
Well, we learned that C-3PO and R2-D2 might be a couple. That's a thing. Also, too, we learned that Anakin may have blown up the Death Star. Didn't know that.
That's right.
That's a new thing as well.
That's true. It's true. That's sorry that we learned it is true. The fact that it is obviously not canon. Who cares about canon though? If you're working for Lucasfilm, I don't expect all the actors to know all of the lore. I might expect them to know the basic plot points of the entire basis of the franchise, but to each their own. I'm not mad about that one actor completely misunderstanding, other than the fact that no one at Lucasfilm corrected him when he said that Anakin blew up an entire Death Star. I do take issue with the idea that they're joking around about Star Wars characters being gay in a show, in a franchise that is supposed to be merchandise to children. But now here we are. The thing that I want to talk about specifically is this article right here out of The Hollywood Reporter. The Acolyte star Amandla Stenberg releases song responding to fan backlash. This by James Hibbard. The Star Wars star has posted an original music video in reaction to haters flooding me with intolerable racism. By the way, right here, I never noticed that she's got a couple of those witch circles on her forehead here. I don't know why it's been so difficult to discern that on the show. Maybe they should do a little Harry Potter thing here and clear out those bangs every now and then. In what's likely an industry first, a TV show star has written and released a song and music video complete with dance moves. Vash, how many dance moves are there?
Oh, there's the one there. The one.
That's right. That's right.
She's got the. I think it's the Stenberg shuffle is what we're going with. Yeah, she got them all down.
Yeah, I'm gonna lower it down to dance move in response to racist backlash against the show. Disney Plus's The Acolyte. Actress Amandla Stenberg posted the track on Instagram on Wednesday and captioned the post, "Happy Juneteenth. And to those who are flooding me with intolerable racism, since it took me 72 hours on my laptop to make this song and video, you got 72 hours to respond, and I expect choreo." You know, I'm tempted to respond myself, but I don't think I'm going to do that. Also, if we're talking like really one dance move here, I think that I could probably outdo the choreo. Probably not going to do that this time. Vash, if we put together a response track, do you want to dance for it?
Yeah. Oh, I can absolutely dance for it. I can guarantee you too, it's not going to take us 72 hours. Could you imagine, Jonas, taking 72 hours on that? Wait, Jonas, we've been in some recording sessions. I can't imagine being stuck to the editing computer here for 72 hours and having that as the result. I think that is really something.
Yeah, I'm wondering how much of this she did herself. Okay, so the track, we went over it on That Park Place, and if you want to see our coverage of that coming out on T3PO very soon, Vash, you can speak to when that'll be coming out. But I disagree with the content of the song. There's a lot of focusing on the idea that when she did this interview with Trevor Noah in maybe 2018, maybe 2019, doesn't matter what year, it wasn't for The Acolyte. It's for another show called The Hate U Give, which is a fictionalized accounting of a police stop gone wrong, a young man not obeying police orders and then being shot for it. That is a tragic incident. It's a fictional incident. So, I'm not as sad about that. But she had said that it was made to make white people cry, and she chuckled about that, and the audience chuckled about it. So I don't know. It's one of those things where it might be misinterpreted as to which show it's for, but it also speaks to some of how Miss Amandla Stenberg might view people of different races than her. Also, doubling down on that is this music video, which also makes it clear what she thinks of people who are not the same race as her. There's a lot of things in here about generational trauma and racism lasting for over 400 years, and that she is taking on physical pain, and that physical pain might actually be because of racism in the world today. There's a lot in there that I'm going to say, from an intellectual standpoint, I had difficulty tracking her arguments, but it kind of reminds me of a lot of classic Marxist ideas. Sorry, critical ideas, I should say. It's not the same as critical race theory, but the idea of original sin based on skin color there, which is, of course, something that I absolutely disagree with. Vash, do you have anything you want to say about the video?
It's so cringe. I get secondhand cringe from watching it. So it's like uncomfortable for me to watch it because the cringe is so high. I can't watch it in one sitting. It's not that I'm uncomfortable with the content. It's just how it's presented. It really is something. And I also too, I believe I was informed as well that she stands in front of a mural of a character from a film that leads a revolution or is somehow suffers at the hands of police brutality in some way. So she's making a lot of statements there for sure. There's a lot of coded language in there. There's a lot of, like you said, references to political ideologies of a questionable nature. It's something.
Right. And there's, of course, the classic idea here that is put forward in the video that no one can define woke, and that her definition of woke is the only acceptable one, which is the quote unquote original definition of woke that she came up with, or we came up with. So I'm thinking that's probably racial lines as opposed to her herself saying that she came up with it. Also putting that up to Childish Gambino. So this article from the Hollywood Reporter, I left out something. By the way, she was calling for journalists to come to her defense. And here is the Hollywood Reporter with an article. Imagine that. There has been some earnest debate among fans over things like canon consistency issues. But last week, the show's backlash reached an intense level after the third episode introduced a coven of characters that has been described, wrongly, says Headland, the creator of the show, as lesbian space witches. I can't speak to the sexuality of the entire coven of space witches, but there's at least two of them that appear to be Vash, would you agree?
I would say so. I believe I remember reading somewhere. I remember reading an article from the New York Times interview, but suggesting that they were lesbian coven of night sisters or witches. So I don't quite understand how it might be wrong to think that. We know at least two might have engaged in coitus of some nature, and because of how that ritual was actually performed, at least featured in the episode, it was very charged in nature, let's say. So I think it's kind of implied.
What we saw on screen was supposed to be the same thing, but there is some indication that these two girls have two mothers, and one is Coral, the one who carried them, and Mother Anastasia, who is supposed to be the one who created them, and they have the same last name as Mother Anastasia. I'm gonna skip past some of the lyrics very quickly because they're a little bit more charged than we usually like to put on the channel. They exceed our content rating. This is the thing that I want to focus on here. Headland also addressed some of the reaction in a more traditional manner in the Hollywood Reporter interview this week. Honestly, I feel sad that people would think if something were gay that it would be bad, Headland said. It makes me feel sad that a bunch of people on the internet would somehow dismantle what I consider to be the most important piece of art I have ever made. I don't think the gayness is actually what people are responding to, other than it's gayness in Star Wars, which is a children's series and is marketed to children on Disney Plus. There is a Disney Junior Star Wars series. In fact, this is an issue that comes up a lot. Let's say a conservative Christian Midwest traditional homeschooler, whatever you want to call them, watches a show like this. I don't think that they're overly offended by the idea of a character mentioning that they like a certain person over another one. I don't think that's the most offensive thing that you can put on screen. In cases like this, you're taking what is, as has been confirmed by Lucasfilm many times, a children's series, and all of a sudden going into non-traditional sexuality, non-traditional relationships, also weird space covens of witches who may or may not be evil, also making the Jedi, who have been traditionally seen as good people, into evil people. There's so many things about this show that I don't actually think the sexuality aspect is the most egregious part of the show. There's also that it's not a very good show.
Yeah. What I've gathered from the responses of the internet haven't been, an attack on, let's say that, the sexuality involved in the show, or even the race involved with many of the characters. We were having this discussion with John F. Tranton. Yes, there are depictions of white people in the show that are not in the greatest of light. That's for sure. But in terms of the racial makeup of our characters, that's really never been a great issue, if only to say that Lee Jung-jae is the best part of the show and he happens to be Asian. The most criticism that I've seen is the horrible writing, the very poor delivery of lines and acting, the direction that is very questionable, the set design, which in some cases elaborate, in other cases is, well, it's just not up to the standard that we would expect from a Star Wars show of this caliber and quality, especially for the high price tag. This cinematography, the story, all the things that would make for compelling television or compelling media is simply not present in this show. And that's really where the majority of criticism has been levied.
Right. And just to be clear, what I'm trying to say here is, if these things are present in a show for adults, I think I just don't watch it and I move on from it. If these things are present in something that is definitely marketed to kids, then we have an issue here, because it's Disney. Disney handles all of this stuff in a strange way. I have a channel called Everything Woke About that you can go and check out some of the things that have been put into preschool content for Disney right here. So I think if this wasn't Star Wars, we would just say, well, that's a little weird, and move on. If this wasn't Disney, I think we would not even watch the show or comment on the show. But they've taken essentially something that has universal mass appeal. They've spent $200 million or so making a show like this, and they want everybody to watch it. And right now, Leslye Headland saying that is the most important piece of art that she has ever made. That might be true from a monetary standpoint here, but I have to say that someone higher up at Lucasfilm or at Disney probably should have given her more aid in making this, given her a little bit more pushback because the performances are flat. The music is decent. It does look like it's in the Star Wars universe, but there's none of that feeling of Star Wars in this show. There's no bright and hopeful idea of people that want to go and do heroic things. This is a lot of people that appear to be sad and wanting to cover up a conspiracy. And what is that conspiracy probably entailing? A lot of people murdering each other. And it's not dark enough to really be a murder mystery thriller, and it's not light enough to be Star Wars. And in the end, it's a lot of ideas that never really come to a full fruition and give you something engaging. I'm being told that we need to wait and see where all of this goes, like it's going to wrap up a great mystery. But the problem is, in the show, it's not engaging. At this point, I would be okay if this was the last episode and it was never another one reviewed on this channel. But I think we're going to keep doing this. Pro is doing live streams over on the WDW Pro channel at 9 p.m. Eastern time. It remains to be seen what comes of the Acolyte and their coven of lesbian space witches, and they're immaculately conceived. And by immaculately, I mean that there was no man present, not the traditional definition of immaculate. Yes, I know. There's just nothing here that has to be answered for fans. And the only thing that I think it does is drag down the original work. Not that Ki-Adi-Mundi had to be preserved, but at least the Jedi Council could be preserved. All right. That being said, let's throw this to our commenters. Are you watching The Acolyte? Do you even care about The Acolyte? Is this, in fact, the most important piece of art that Leslye Headland has ever worked on? Vash?
No more, Jonas. No more, please. Don't do this. It's terrible. I guess we'll have to see the most important work. That's the important question that I need to throw in the comments. Should I make Vash watch this, or should I just tell him what happened in the previous episode and he go, what? All right, like this video if you like this video, and if you would consider subscribing to That Park Plays for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.